Hey guys, today we're talking about seeing the bigger picture. And a reminder I need almost daily for myself. And I'm excited to talk more about this with you guys here today. And do you ever feel overwhelmed, stressed, or frustrated with where you're at in your progress? Do you find yourself comparing your progress to others and getting discouraged? You're definitely not alone. And this is something so many guys struggle with and is a sticking point I have to work through with myself and with coaching clients time and time again. Failing to see the bigger picture will wreck your confidence and your passion as you strive for more. So listen up to today's show to find out how to see the bigger picture on your way to bigger things in your health, your fitness, and your life. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day. Life gets hard, life gets stressful, and it can blind us to what really matters and what we're even working towards in the first place. At times, tunnel vision is needed, but at times you need to take a step back to reflect on where you are and where you're actually going. Incredible clarity and perspective can come from your ability to do this. Now, sometimes that might mean that you're on the right path, and it might provide you encouragement that you need to keep pushing forward in whatever struggle or hard time you're facing. Other times you might have realized that somewhere along the way you got off track. It's time to recalibrate. Either way, regularly reflecting on the big picture is necessary, and that's whatever your goals are. If you're looking to get healthy, the pounds won't come off right away, and muscle doesn't build overnight. If you're trying to move from working a crazy job or crazy hours to spending more time with your family, it's not a switch that can just be flipped immediately. You're still going to be in work mode when you're used to that style of living and working. If you're looking to change deeply ingrained habits in your food consumption and work, in motivation and working out, you're not going to get there right away. But whatever the goal is, you'll get lost at some point in the day-to-day. And even with the best laid out plan, it's going to happen at some point. Now, I know how hard it is to feel like you're spinning your wheels and wondering if you're making any type of meaningful progress. I run into this all the time in my own life. In my health, I fail to see the big picture, and that forces me to jump from thing to thing and even abandon what might have been working due to being discouraged or not getting results fast enough. That's a bad place to be when you're not even seeing something long enough to stick it through and get the true reward of all the hard work you're putting in. If I get caught in the day-to-day, I'm going to jump from thing to thing. I'm going to think there's something better on the other side. If I fail to see the big picture, which is consistently over time doing the things that matter the most, then that's going to cost me. In my relationships, I can let small things turn into big things that don't need to be. This happens all the time with my wife, Lindsay. When I get upset about things, it spirals into a bigger deal than it needs to be. If I don't reflect on it, and if it doesn't really hold any kind of long-term weight on the big scheme of things, and I can tell you it usually doesn't, then it's really not worth worrying about or not turning into a bigger thing. Take my word on it if you don't fall into that yourself. In my work and in our business, it's so easy for me to get caught up in feeling like we should be further than where we're at and get caught in the day-to-day of the business. There are so many things coming at us. There's so many things coming our way that if I'm failing to step back and see the big picture, that can rob me and rob us as a team of how far we've actually come. It robs gratitude. It keeps you from appreciating how far you've come and how much progress you've actually made. And that happens to myself and us all the time. In the Men Made for More podcast, I started this podcast to provide the absolute best content I could in the best way I know how to help guys out there strengthen their body, their mind, and their purpose. And when I lose sight of why I started it, it can make consistently getting these 5 episodes out every single week seem like a lot of added work on my plate, and it can become a burden. But when I can step back and remember why I started it, that purpose, it can really push me through the weeks when I'm maybe not feeling as motivated. I don't want to block the time to film these. And being completely honest, I'm glad I'm excited about the majority of these, but some weeks are harder than others. And if you get caught purely in the day-to-day of it, that can be hard to do. Now, I also get it. It's one thing to verbalize that we understand the importance of seeing the big picture, but how do we actually put this into practice? I want to talk about some actionable things to think about when it comes to seeing the big picture in your day-to-day. Now, first, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If it doesn't, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. That's something that we get caught up. We see these things as such a big deal. But when we really think about, will this matter in 5 years? Sometimes the answer might be yes, but most of the time, probably not, at least the things I'm worrying about. So be able to learn to acknowledge that and move on from it. Second piece, get yourself out of the situation. We got to get out of our head sometimes. And this can be through physically separating in the form of getting away through maybe a mini vacation or staycation. A walk out in nature can work wonders. A day off from work. This can also be done through other ways, such as journaling, meditation, reflection. Those are other ways to mentally remove yourself from the situation and gain some new perspective. Now, make sure if you haven't, check out the podcast from last Friday on the power of journaling for more on that and much more on why that's a good idea to have in your daily routine anyways. Next piece, make sure you're practicing gratitude. At the start of each day, list 3 things you're grateful for in your life. And at the end of each day, list 3 things you're grateful for that happen in your day. These don't have to be big things, but this regular practice can give wonderful perspective to where you're at. Some days, if it's a tough day, it might be that I had food on the table and that I didn't completely implode on getting my work done. Like there's little things it can be. It can be, someone smiled at me and said hi and took the time to go out of their way. There's lots of little things that come up in our day that we don't realize if we're not stepping back and reflecting on those things. Next strategy for you guys, get back to your one thing. One thing, one focus, one step at a time. If you haven't checked out the goal setting course I put together, I highly recommend going through it to identify what matters most to make sure you're on the track towards getting there. Once you've identified it, then it's time to regularly review it. This is something that losing sight of this is what I talked about earlier, where we slowly get off track and then all of a sudden we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we're caught up in the day-to-day, but we're not even necessarily on the right path to what matters the most in our lives. And that's why I think having a solid goal setting course is important, a solid goal setting process, and then lastly, making sure it's getting reviewed regularly. Next piece, remember how far you've come. Develop some way to reflect on how far you've come. And this can be through tangible results or through other personal growth that's not quite as tangible. But either way, we so quickly lose sight of the real progress we've made. So make sure you're having some kind of form, whether that's in a journal written down, just verbally reflecting on how far you've actually come. Last piece, remember how far you still have to go. We can make incredible progress over the course of a year. Don't let one bad day or one bad decision turn into getting in your own way. Remember, it's all about the long game. It's all about the long game. You're going to get caught in the day-to-day. You're going to get stressed. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to mess up. Keep at it. Keep pushing forward and step back and remember why you're doing it in the first place. So to wrap it up, it's a dangerous place to get caught in the weeds and focus too heavily on the day-to-day, whether it's the challenges, your struggles you're facing, but don't let a lack of seeing the big picture keep you from feeling or performing the way you want. Instead, imagine having fresh perspective and encouragement regularly. Imagine being thankful for how far you've come, yet still hungry and passionate for where you're heading and how to get there. All this is possible with a big picture focus and with a laser-focused action plan. So if you need help with getting clear on your goals, your purpose, your why, that one thing, learning how to take action, follow the link in the show notes. I have a free PDF download for you guys. It's the 5 steps you need to achieve your big goals. That's the exact process I use with the clients I work with, that we use personally. And I highly recommend you guys going through that. Great resource to help keep you guys moving in the right direction and staying focused on the big picture. So I've been putting in the show notes there as well. If you have any specific questions or content suggestions you want to see more of, make sure to send me an email there. It's dave@iostrengthperformance.com. Would love to keep the conversation going with you guys, hear what you're working on, and hear what you want to see more of. As always, I appreciate you guys. I really do. And I appreciate you guys listening in. I'm looking forward to keeping the conversation going next week. You guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys later.